This video is now in session, and Kevin McCarthy is very likely to become Speaker of the House come 2022. So the 2022 election, midterm elections, will be a reflection on Joe Biden's presidency, and almost all the time, the majority party, or whichever party rules the presidency, loses seats in the House and sometimes in the Senate during midterm elections. And with Democrats only having a 222 seat majority, that means Republicans only need 5 seats in order to flip the congressional majority from Democratic to Republican. And as explained many times by our redistricting policy series, Republicans can get to that number just through redistricting alone. So Kevin McCarthy is on his way to become Speaker, but he's doing it in a very not so eloquent way. Right now, Kevin McCarthy has been, ever since January 6th, Kevin McCarthy has been flip-flopping on his policies and what he believes is right and wrong. One example is January 6th, where, originally speaking, Kevin McCarthy was against Donald Trump and said that the January 6th was a horrible day that was instigated by the presidency. And that was his true voice. He knew that, politically speaking, that Republicans had to start turning away from Donald Trump. But then Donald Trump forced Kevin McCarthy's hand, and Kevin McCarthy decided to bow down to Trump, and he was against the January 6th Commission, and he is now a servant to Donald Trump. And that is nothing compared to that is nothing compared, I guess, to the cultural legends of the Republican Party. People like Ronald Reagan. Conservatives are always fantasized about Ronald Reagan in his 1980 and 1984 presidential election bid, and in both times he won by a landslide. He won more than just a landslide. He won in practically every single state in 1984 with the exception of Minnesota. So it goes to show that Ronald Reagan was and will still be a cultural icon. But if Kevin McCarthy wants to get to that stage where he's popular among conservatives of all types, he has to realize that he will have to take negative stance and go against his own party for the good of his party and his future. So what Ronald Reagan did in 1978, as shown here by the Hill article, is he practically wanted to go against the movements, or the cultural movements, the culture wars practically. And it's kind of similar to what we're facing right now with cultural wars. Currently, there's a culture war going on again between woke supremacy and so-called woke supremacy and so-called anti-woke culture and anti-cancel culture. And in 1978, Ronald Reagan faced the same problem, where there were people in Florida who were practically going against efforts to make a more inclusive place for the LGBTQ community, among other issues. And Ronald Reagan, governor of California, decided to support the LGBTQ movement, and he decided to go against those culture war activists who were trying to spread anti-wokeness. And as a result, he was able to persuade Californians to go along with him. And he did the same thing again and again with these culture wars. But the difference between Reagan and McCarthy is that in McCarthy's tenure, he's not doing the same thing. Just a side note, I guess, Ronald Reagan, a lot of conservatives portray him as one of the best presidents in history, if not the best president in history. But just note that Ronald Reagan is much more liberal than both liberals and conservatives think. He was a lot more to the left than people think, and he was more of a moderate rather than a staunch conservative on many issues, with culture wars being one of them. Now, Kevin McCarthy will still easily get into the House speakership position, but he's not getting into the House speakership position because of his candor or his personality, but rather he just happens to be the House minority leader, and thus the number 2 in line after Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House. And that's what you need to know about Kevin McCarthy in terms of his politics. Obviously, he's very conservative. He comes from a very conservative district in California, I believe the 23rd district, unless if that's Devin Nunes's district, then it's the 22nd district. But otherwise, Kevin McCarthy in either district it's very conservative, and as a result, that is a reflection of his policies, and that's a reflection of his stance for Donald Trump. Um, and he may be able to win in 2022. He probably will win in 2022. But when it comes to future years, it might get worse off for Kevin McCarthy, and who knows? He might end up in the same place as Liz Cheney. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. This video is now adjourned, and I'll see you in the next one.